Hi, welcome to RevelatorAlf. So in this video I am test riding the 2019 Harley Davidson Softail Slim. It's actually it's a good bike actually. Just picked it up from the dealership. And it's in this kind of weird and wonderful mustard yellow. I'm not sure what the official colour is, but actually I quite like it. I mean, black is usually my favourite colour, but I do like this bike. I mean, just look at this. It has that kind of old school bobber feel to it. It's kind of got this kind of old World War II retro feel going on about it, which I like. The overall stance is really good. It's got ABS. It's got the modern technology on it. It's all on this new Softail chassis, which a lot of these, the Street Bob, the Sport Glide, Fat Bob, they're all on this chassis now. And it's a really good chassis as well. Walking around the bike, it just looks the business, doesn't it? I like the tank, I do like these big tanks. I like that the clock is in the centre there. I like this old-fashioned look. It just looks. I mean, it's the Milwaukee 8 engine as well. It's 107 cubic inch. So what's that? 1745 cc. Big chunky tyres on it as well. Look at that. Good, nice big LED headlight at the front. Big kind of chunky forks as well. It's got the forward mounted controls on it. This is all standard, by the way, and the platforms which you put your feet on. Look, I'm not used to riding these sort of bikes with this kind of setup, so it has been a bit of an adjustment first of all, but you soon sort of mold yourself into it. Solo seat is standard, obviously, any configuration you can have you want, but it actually feels quite comfortable. Spoke wheels at the front, nice blacked out wheels, but spokes, which are a bit of a pig to keep clean. Let's face it, we know that. But look, it's got brushed aluminium accents. It's got black casings. It just looks business. I'm not a low bar kind of rider. I mean, I prefer my bars a lot higher up, but I actually like this because it suits the bike. It's in keeping with the bike as well. There's a lot of crossover parts, between all these bikes, and especially with the Softail chassis, there's a lot of crossover, but it looks good. It's almost like this is a beefed up version of the Street Bob. It's where the Street Bob should be in certain respects. Certainly in terms of the tank, the tank makes this bike feel a bit bigger, feels a bit chunkier, whereas on the Street Bob it feels a little bit smaller. So watch my other video, my review of the Street Bob, you'll see what I mean on that. But it just looks great. It's the small details that make it look good. The colour matching indicators to the rest of the bike. Front and rear. It's this bar, this kind of aero glide bar here. I kind of like that. Tank is a big fat juicy tank. Standard, very old controls. No cruise control on this bike, which might be an issue for some. But look, the best way to do is just get this on the road and go ride it. So follow me through, and I'll take it from a bit of motorway, bit of street riding, bit of twisties, bit of urban riding, and you get a good feel for it. Right, catch you on the other side. Right, so on the bike we go. Keyless start again. And you kind of fit into the bike quite nicely, so just turn this off here, wait for everything to go out there. It's got ABS on it as well. The kind of sluggish start from Harley, standard stuff, but it turns it over quite nicely. Right, I'll tell you what, let's just go around here first of all. On our way we go. It's got a nice ring to it. It's got look, it sounds anemic, don't get me wrong, it does sound anemic, with the standard pipes, but actually it's very smooth. It's a very smooth engine anyway, and out of the Harleys that I've ridden recently, whilst in general the Harley gear changing and clutch is a lot smoother these days, it would appear, this seems incredibly smooth. A little bit clunky, but nowhere near as bad as the other ones. I will say on the left hand side here on the clutch, I usually ride with 2 fingers, you know, part of my sort of racing days, but you kind of have to go back to the 4 fingers because there's not a lot of room here to pull the clutch in all the way. That's just an adjustment thing. I mean, that isn't an issue. It depends how you ride, so you just kind of have to watch that. But it's very stable, and these big chunky tyres help as well. And these sort of, you know, these footboards that you kind of got your feet on. I tell you what, I've got used to it very quickly. You know, it's really nice. Now this is not a bike that you lean over, you know what I mean? You don't get your knee down on this bike, you know, and but what I'm saying is that it's, as we know, that's the obvious thing, of course, but what I'm saying is that actually with this bike, you know, you just get a sense that it will roll into the turns, roll out the turns. If you're not too aggressive with it, it's going to be really good. Put a bit of power through it. I mean, I think, you know, it's been wet. I mean, it's been a lot of rain overnight, so I'm taking it easy, you know, in the bends, but it actually feels really good. Standard Harley, you know, indicators here, push button once to come on, once again to knock them out, self-cancelling as well. Onto the motorway. I mean, everything is changeable on a Harley, we know that, but actually this seat is really comfortable. It's a little bit low at the back side bit, so it's a little bit street bob like, where it's you know, it doesn't really hold you into the seat per se, but the power delivery on this is a lot smoother. And now you're just coming up this, look, I've got no fairing on this, nothing. This is just bare bones riding, and I tell you what, this is smooth as you like. Oh yes, and yes, of course, you've got the wind in your face, on your chest, but you're not feeling it. It's an odd sensation. Look, I'm putting in the power now, and you know what? I'm not feeling it at all. Yeah, so the police, that's not for me. Yeah, you're just not feeling it. It's smooth, very smooth. Do you know what? And probably, you know what? One of the viewers of one of my other videos said to me, sent me a message or left a comment. They said, "Try the try the Softail Slim. Try it, just try it." And do you know what? Kudos to that chap. I forgot what your name, I do apologise, but this is a good recommendation. This is a good bike. If you're looking for that old school look, bare bones bobber sort of style, if you're looking for that, this is it. And it's comfortable as well. Right, motorway ticked off. That's a tick in the box. It is very smooth. It is very comfortable, lots of power delivery, and you don't feel like you have to hang on to the bike. It's actually, it's all right. It's good. Great ergonomics on this bike. You know, you fit the bike as well. Let's go around this way. You fit the bike. Yeah, there isn't any you know, feeling of discomfort or anything like that. Crikey, I'm just wondering what the hell's going on here. I think what I might do is actually go. This could be a bit of a nightmare. Nobody wants to be stuck in traffic, do they? So what I'll do, but actually, you know, even at the lights here, it feels good. Right, let's just go around here. So what's, yeah, there's a big hold up in the middle there. Right, so what we're going to do, change of tactics here. We're going to go around this way and take it on some twisters. Yeah, look, it's really comfortable, it's really smooth, it rolls through the bends. As I say, this is not a bike to be aggressive on, but it'll do the business. I know, you know, the natural tendency for any Harley rider is to start customizing things and, you know, swapping parts out and go for stage one, you know, that kind of thing, changing exhaust. And I know a lot of that is all to do with the way it looks and personalising the bike. So, you know, before any of you sort of comment about, you know, yeah, you can change this, you can change that, I know that, and I'm just talking about the standard configuration here. You could change this bike into any bike that you want it to be. You know, you could customise it in any way. Well, I'm just talking about the standard configuration as it is. So let's say a stage one, and you know, do what you need to do, put the new exhaust on, remap it, do whatever you need to do, and air intakes and everything. But I'm just wondering, apart from the sound and a very marginal increase in performance at certain ranges, because it's not all going to be the same, so it's basically the sound and the look that you're looking for. Is there any point? Is there any point in doing that? You know, because actually the bike is great as it is. When you open it up, whoa, yeah, there's a low thunder to it. That's a nice tone to this exhaust actually. But yes, look, there's no getting away from it. It does sound anemic. They all do. But if you want to be a little bit more stealthy like, you know, come and go, you know, in the middle of the night and, you know, that kind of thing, actually this is not a bad option. But, you know, let's face it, they all sound like a bit like a VW Beetle, don't they? But anyway, but look, this is a nice bike. It's great. It's really planted in low speeds here. Look, I've got my hands off the controls here. Look, it's very, very stable. This is nice. Dare I say this, that I'm not a low, you know, handlebar grip kind of rider. I do prefer these kind of bikes especially to be more just below shoulder height. So, you know, have a riser kit or a, you know, sort of whatever, sort of 14-inch, 16-inch mini 8s on there, something like that. But this bike, apart from the aesthetics, I'm talking about riding ergonomics here, I don't think you need it. It just doesn't need it. It's actually fine as it is. It's almost perfection, you know, it's riding perfection for this kind of bike, for this model of bike. I'm very impressed, I must say. This is a good shout from the chap. I think his name is Chris. I can't remember. I'm getting old, you see. But crikey, this is a nice bike. It's great just pootling along at 50 miles an hour, which I am now. Nice dash here, nice old school dash. You got the warning lights here. You can go through the modes on here with this switch here on the left hand side, this kind of circular switch, and that will change the modes here, you know, to whatever display you want. It's you know, it's got shows you which gear is in use, all that kind of stuff. I mean, so, you know, it's modern tech without being overly modern, if you know what I mean. So it still has that authenticity of an old bike, of an old looking bike, but you've got a modern bike beneath you. So if you're looking for an old, you know, real 45 or whatever, and you think, no, I love the style, but I want something new, then you got two options. You either go custom route, or dare I say it, for whatever this is, 16 odd thousand pounds. I'll put all the specs in the description below for you, of course. This is a really good bike to have. Obviously they come in different combinations as well, and vivid black seems to be the cheapest colour. But I'd say £16,000 for this bike, whilst it is expensive for any bike, of course. I think if you look at this as a long-term bike, you're going to be pleased with it. And I think if you're the sort of person, you know, regardless of gender, by the way, because it is really light, you know, to ride. It's got lovely balance in the bends. You know, you're riding it, but it feels light. It feels easy to control. So whether you've got a, you know, you're tall, or, I mean, I'm 6'1", and I fit perfectly on this. You know, it's actually not, and these forward controls actually really do, forward foot controls actually really help with that. But I've got a feeling that any size you are, you're just going to fit into this lovely. Absolutely great. Right, let's see what it's like, you know, just having a bit of an overtake. I mean, you know, it's got 6 gears, and the 6th gear really is a highway gear. I mean, it isn't just like a normal road gear, it's a big motorway gear, that is. Right, third and 5th gear, let the torque take over. Oh, it's just, it's easy. It's easy. You know, this is what I love about Harleys. You know, it's easy, non-energetic riding. It's got so much power, so much torque, that you just open the throttle, let it pull you away. You know, if you want a bit of extra speed, knock it down and you really will fly. It's got all the power it needs and more for this kind of bike. You don't compare these kind of bikes to, you know, your sports bikes, whatever. You don't compare them, because you cannot compare these kind of bikes. But what I'm saying is, for this kind of bike, for this kind of ride, for this kind of rider, absolutely perfect. Got smooth gear changing, smooth clutch, rolls into the bends, actually feels really planted as well. This feels really planted in the bends. Right, on some twisters now. I'm not going to take it too fast, of course. Do you know what? This has probably got the best balance of Harleys that I've ridden. This is very close to the Sport Glide, I would say. But do you know what? Do you know, all these, I think if you're going to buy a Harley, I think your first port of call should be one of these Softail frames, because they are just really good. You know, in the bends, you know, there's no flexing, there's no wobbling. It's just, you know, you point it in a direction and it stays there. It doesn't veer off. Oh, this is good. Very good. I think, you know, just like with all the Harleys, you know, for sort of round town riding, you're going to be stuck in a low gear all the time, and you're going to be chugging away. You know, I'm in 4th right now, and it is kind of labouring a little bit, just at 30 miles an hour. It is kind of labour. It's just about right. I mean, even you can knock it into 5th, and it'll really start to labour. So you're kind of going to be stuck between, without traffic, you know, in about 3rd or 4th gear, I would say. In traffic, you know, and they are long gears. We know that for, you know, for Harleys, they are kind of long gears. But there's, you know, there's lots of torque here. So, and this is, I've got to say, this is my kind of riding. I love this kind of riding now. You know, you just stick it in a gear and that's it, off you go. Beauty. This headlight, the front as well, it's, you know, I know there's a big craze sometimes, you know, to customise bikes and get small dinky little lights, but I like a big old unit on the front, I've got to say. Big old unit, lots of power on that, lots of headlight. Oh, you know, if I'm riding at night, or when I'm riding at night, I want the road to be lit up as if it was day. So the bigger the light, the more powerful the light, the better for me. Say this about this bike, that whether you're steering it round a bend or actually kind of leaning into the bend, it does feel as if the tyres, whilst they're not sticking to the road in that they're not hindering the turning, they do feel as if they are planted as well. So whether you're sat straight up or whether you're actually leaning it over, it does feel as if these tyres, these big, thick tyres, seem to have got it right. And lots of people say, oh, you know, you're not riding in the rain, it's horrible. Well, you know, for me, you ride bikes, you ride them all the time, no matter what the weather. You know, okay, within limitations, of course, you know. But, you know, you ride them. And I'm glad that I'm actually riding this in the wet. In the wet, you just ride a bit more conservatively, that's all. Other bikes that I've had in the past, even at slow speed, I remember I had this old Triumph Speedmaster, and in the wet, it was a dog. That rear tyre would spin out on me all the time. Terrible tyres it had. I can't remember what tyres it had on it, some Metzlers, I think, something like that. But the bike was just awful in the wet. Whereas this bike, in the wet, I mean, it is bloody wet as well, and it's just starting to rain again. It's almost like you're riding in the day. Yes, I'm being more conservative. Yes, I'm not adding the power where you should do. But it feels, you know, it just feels as if it's stuck to the road, and I like it. I'm not getting that numb sensation on the bum in my groin area either, which I used to get with the Harleys. So the seating's a lot better. Whilst this isn't as bum hugging, you know, as some other seats, I'm sure, the standard seat is good. It feels right. And just like, you know, just like the Street Bob, this bike wants to go. It wants to be opened up a little bit. I think I'm going to be stuck behind this vehicle for a while, but not for much longer. Alright, let me see if I can get past them now. Okay, why are you braking? Maybe you get the reflection in the back of the car there of this LED light. I mean, it's, you know, it's bright. It's a white, bright white LED headlight. Yeah, I think, you know, with this, I think the two-finger clutch on this isn't quite working with big chunky gloves. I think that'll make the gear changing a bit clunkier. You need to really pull it in a little bit more. Yeah, and that the gear changing is a lot sweeter then. That's not a bike issue, that's more my issue and resetting issue. But just so you're aware. So fourth gear here. I mean, it just, it feels nice. This bike wants to be ridden, and it wants to be ridden in any way you want it to ride it. Cruise it round in the town. Oh yeah, there's nothing coming out of that junction, by the way. If I get any critics, I'd already eyeballed it. Oh yeah, nice, nice. On the brakes, these brakes actually, they are chunky as well. They grip, they do what they're supposed to do. They're not linked brakes,
at all. But say there is ABS on there, which is, you know, look, whether you agree with ABS or not, it's kind of, you know, look, that's the way we are. This is where we are, and I actually like it. Oh, feel that sound! Yeah, listen to that sound! Yeah! Do you know what I love about that exhaust tone? It's deep. It's got a deep tone to it. It's like you're listening to Barry White on the radio, and he's kind of singing one of his, or used to, he's dead now of course, singing one of his love songs to you. Do you know what I mean? It's a, yeah baby, yeah. You know what I mean? Yes, you get a custom exhaust, whatever, aftermarket exhaust, and you're going to change the quality of it, the sound. But this is just a deep rumble, especially when you wind it on. Oh, that's a nice sound. That is a nice sound. Look, all I can say about this bike, I'm going to stop rambling on, but I can just talk and talk about this bike now. All I can say, you've got a big tank here. You're going to get, I think it's 18 odd litres, whatever. You're going to get 180, 200 miles on it, possibly. Possibly that's being a bit generous, but you're going to get miles on it. It's going to be good for a, you know, poodle around on a Sunday or just an everyday rider. It's going to be good in all weathers. I think, you know, the proof is in how this is handling in the wet. It's going to be good just for, you know, going twos up if you want to, you know, get another seat on there. Just like anything, you can put bags on this if you wanted to. I personally think you'd ruin the look of it a little bit, but I don't know. I think you'd have to be very selective of what sort of bags you put on, panniers you put on this bag, to have it in keeping with the style of which it is supposed to be. But this bike is a really, really excellent bike. I think if the street bob of the Harley had made the street bob a little bit more like this, or I'll rephrase that, if Harley had not deviated from what street bob used to look like so much, then I think that would be a real winner. It's a fantastic bike to ride, the street bob, of course, and you know, you can ride it hard as well. It's really light and nimble, but I think it needed to look like this. I'm not talking geometry, I'm not talking the way it looks. I think maybe it just needed to be beefed up. It needed to be on steroids a little bit, whereas this is kind of a, this is not a street bob on steroids. This is more like, do you know what, this is your big older brother, your older sensible brother, who could still slap you about a bit if you needed him to, and teach you a lesson every now and again. But this is your older brother. Your street bob is your, you know, your 25-year-old kid who thinks he knows it all. He's starting to get a bit mature, but he's still a bit cocky, whereas this Softail Slim, this is your 45-year-old older brother, and he's going to say, you might be getting older, but you still don't know it all. This is your, put it this way, your street bob, that's your blue belt, that's your karate blue belt. This is a black belt, that's it. I mean, just look at this. It's just like, I don't like this bit here. This sort of, yeah, it's kind of, in some ways, it's a little bit, it's let itself down a little bit, because it's got the black casings, the black accents. It's got this great mustard colour combination, which I love this, by the way. And it's got the brushed aluminium and everything. But then it kind of lets itself down with this kind of, you know, that's very 70s. That's a little bit misplaced in my opinion. And I know, you know, anybody's out there would kind of, I'm sure you'll disagree with me. This is purely a personal thing. I think this Harley Davidson logo here is a bit too 70s. If you want this retro feel, which is kind of a, you know, 40, well, not 45, but a 50s, 60s bike, 50s bike kind of representation, this is not right for it. I could be completely wrong. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you think about anything that I've said about this bike. Go and ride it. All I'm saying to you is go and ride it. Go into your Harley dealership and say, I've seen this video on YouTube about Softail Slim, I want to ride it. And if they give you any static, just say, I want to ride it now. Give them a slap, I want to ride it now. And go see for yourself. The brakes are great, handling's great, looks are great, power is brilliant. Its overall package, this bike is gonna, if you've got a long list of ticks that need to be, boxes that needed to be ticked, this is probably gonna tick 95% of them. All I can say, it's a great bike. Right, so look, as long as you've got the space to go through traffic, this will go through, like any bike will go through traffic. It's a little bit wider on the bars, so you know you have to watch that a little bit. But overall, riding through traffic on the bends, nice. Highway, nice. You don't really feel the wind, which is really strange. You know, I think the geometry at the front lends itself to the wind hitting the big headlight, and it sort of wafts it over your body. I bet you if I saw a wind tunnel test of this bike, that's exactly what's happening. Because of that geometry, because of the rake on this front end, and because of that big headlight, the airflow is coming over it, and it's actually coming over the rider's head. There we go, Mr. Science speaking for you. Yeah, that is wrong. But this is right. I like it. I like it a lot. Well, there you go. Hope you found this useful. Anyway, so I'm going to take this back to the dealers now. And please subscribe, hit the notifications bell, all that kind of stuff. Leave loads of comments, let me know what you think. And well, check out the website RevelatorAlf.com for all the links to all the support pages as well, and all the other info. Right, catch you on the next video, whenever that is. Cheers now.